there's got to be an explanation as to why you happen to have your best ideas like in your 10-minute power shower.
It's an awesome podcast.
Now I'm trying to find a a science behind shower thoughts. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Uncensored Podcast. I am your host, Riley, and there is no co-host Tom today. However, there is a Tom. So how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am quite swell myself. It's been a long day, but as aforementioned, this is Tom from the band Rogue Awakening. So we're gonna just start with a little fucking sorry, I'm choking already. But just an introduction of really who you are as a band and how you would like talk about yourselves to someone who isn't familiar.
Yeah, so we are Rogue Awakening. People love to misspell it. Rouge Awakening, Rude Awakening, all that. So it's Rogue as in Star Wars Rogue Awakening. So we are a kind of alt metal hard rock band. We have a female lead singer, Kimberly. We have on rhythm guitar, we have Ollie on lead guitar, Nick on bass, and Carl on drums. So it's kind of, I guess you'd describe us as like heavy but melodic. So bands, if you're fans of Evanescence, we often get compared to Spirit Box a little bit, although Kimberly doesn't do growls, but Nick's doing a bit of the growls now. So we're getting a bit of that in there, like Hailstorm, maybe Pretty Reckless a little bit. So there's obviously those comparisons. That's our with the kind of female fronted, and it's a bit of a trigger as well because people often say, oh, so you're female fronted metal, and then it's like, well, it's not really a genre.
Yeah,
because it's like, well, it's true because we play this a lot of other female centric or female featuring bands, and they're like, you know, because you wouldn't go, oh yeah, I'm into like male fronted metal, like you're like,
yeah,
well, that sounds quite odd, and it's like, but yeah, I know it's that weird thing, and I never even thought about it. I was just like, oh yeah, it does sound weird when you say it like that. So yeah, that's us really. We've been together, I guess it's about 2 years now. Yeah, so we're based in Horsham, which there is not a massive music scene in Horsham, I'll be honest. Yeah. So we've really tried. So we spend most of our time gigging in kind of South Coast, so Brighton, Eastbourne, Southampton, Hastings, a lot of time in London. So we're trying to push and do kind of bigger gigs and more places, etc. And we've got our first kind of festival coming up this summer, which is exciting, and Guildfest. So yeah, that's us really.
Good. So I guess it's just easy to just slap this on just as a follow-up. How did you guys all get started into the band? Like, what was the process?
Yeah, it was pretty unintentional, if I'm honest, because it's a really un-rock and roll story. So Kimberly, our lead singer, she used to live on the same road as me, and our kids are in the same class at school. And it was mid-lockdown, so like nothing was happening, no one was going anywhere, and you kind of stood in the street, kids running feral, and we just started chatting. Obviously, at the government recommended distance. Yeah. And she was like, oh, what are you doing to stay sane? And I was like, oh, well, I've always played guitar, but started to kind of get back into it, get like really pushing myself a bit. And she's like, oh, I used to sing in a band. She's like, tell you what, we will start a band. And I just like laughed in her face. So I was like, who is this mad woman like trying to get me into some bizarre band? But she's quite a force of nature. So she was like, no, come on, we're going to do this. So it started off with just me and her, to be honest. And we did kind of like acoustic, mostly covers, weirdly like 90s R&B. I don't know how we got into that. Like it's just like we just started singing. So I sang, she sang, I played guitar. And then she was like, we should do originals. And again, I was like, I've no idea what even genre we use. And she's like, well, I like this. And I was like, oh, well, I like that as well. And she was friends with Kyle, our drummer. So we kind of got together and did some pretty awful jamming when you're just kind of getting together and no one really knows what we're doing. And then we had to dive into the depths of the internet to find Ollie, which is always exciting.
Yeah.
You meet you meet some interesting people. Like yeah, we had one, and this guy was probably one of the more stoned people I've ever seen. Which annoyingly, he was still a really good guitarist. I was like, dude, you're like so off your face. And but like he was a lovely guy, but probably not like the right fit for the band. And then Ollie turned up, and originally he was going to be our bassist because I kind of was playing guitar, and he said, yeah, I'll come play bass. And then after a while, he's like, actually, I quite fancy doing a bit of lead because that's probably not my strength. And I was like, yeah, of course. And then he was like, oh, actually, I know someone called Nick. He used to play the bass. And then Nick's an amazing bassist. Like, I'm sure you appreciate. There's a lot of bands, well, kind of the more starting out of guys, and it's not slating people, but there's people who play bass and there's people who like really play bass, and he is epic. Like he loves a bass solo, and then he is angry because it's like a really difficult. I'm like, dude, you wrote the song, you can't get angry that it's hard to play. But yeah, he's very talented. So yeah, that's pretty much like how we met. And again, it wasn't a kind of we're gonna do this, we're gonna be this genre. We were kind of like, yeah, it's definitely gonna be rock. But it's definitely got harder, and I think we're getting harder still. Like we've kind of started off in that kind of alternative rock bracket, and now it's kind of more like pushing into the metal, kind of experimenting, going to drop C and stuff like that, and more of the growls and stuff. And it's nice because it's a bit of an evolution as opposed to this is the music we play, this is what we do.
Yeah. So you keep it fresh though, like.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sorry, go
on. Yeah, I mean, like if you just released like the same 4 chords every time in the same key, like the novelty have to wear off eventually. So it's about constantly changing. That's really what the music industry seems to be. Because I mean, I've done this for too long, and there's always a constant with so many bands I interview. Always, but we couldn't be complacent. It was always that we were constantly evolving and changing the sound, because that's how you got to keep going. Like,
yeah, definitely. And it's hard as well, because I mean it's that kind of thing where you're like, well, that song was really successful, and part of you's like, well, we should try and do like that song but better, kind of thing. And then you start overthinking it. So I think we're exactly like that. We're like, well, let's just evolve, let's kind of go with what we think, what we're enjoying playing. And I think because we've got a lot of creators in the band, so like Nick, our bassist, can also play guitar. So like usually one of us 3 will kind of come up with a riff or something, or an idea, or maybe just a tiny bit, and then the others can kind of come in and work on that, build on it, etc. And I also, because I sing as well, I like Kimberly and I'll bounce lyrics off each other. So she's quite, because I kind of did one song that I sang on quite a bit on, and she's like, I said, what do you think of these lyrics? She's like, yeah, I mean, they're good. I mean, they could be a lot better. And I was like, wow, okay, right. But it's that, I think rather than a lot of bands have like a singer and like they write the lyrics, they do the melody, that's their job. Whereas it's quite nice that there's not that pressure, or you can help each other out, because it's like, well, I know I can write lyrics and she can write amazing lyrics, and it's that kind of, well, actually, when you said that, I really like that bit, but that bit's a bit crap. Like, we can do better than that, and not have too much ego, because you don't want to just be slating each other. But like, so yeah, it's fun, and it can be really frustrating. Like we've had some songs like Overshadowed, which was like our second single. And like Nick wrote that with just this kind of like bass, like solo intro basically, and which we played it and we were like, fuck, that's awesome, like, and we all kind of joined in, and it probably wrote itself in about 15 minutes. That's real cliche, like, yeah, it just wrote itself. And like, but it was so easy, and you're like, wow, that was awesome, we just wrote this really cool song. And like other songs, like there's a couple we've been working on recently, and it's been like months, and we're really close. We're like, it's almost there, but it's not how we want it. So like you've got to just keep hammering it. Like, so it can be frustrating, but it's fun. I keep reminding myself it's fun. I was like, this is definitely fun. No,
I swear I am enjoying myself.
Yeah, I'm having the best time.
But, you mentioned that you write lyrics, and Well, I'm not going to claim to be a writer, but especially over lockdown, it's so easy to just find like an instrumental on YouTube, and then or just go on your notes app and write a bit. So when you're writing lyrics, do you usually write like the lyrics and then put a melody to it, or do you usually find a melody and then fill in words?
Yeah, usually the latter. Yeah, usually we come up with a melody. Um, and it's weird because Kimberly's really good at coming up with a weird, not weird, just a different melody to the rhythm. Like I think because I'm a rhythm guitarist, I'm like, okay, well it's like da 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 da, so I'll sing the da 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 over the top. Whereas she'll come up with something completely, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's really cool because that is not what I was expecting you to sing over the top. Whereas mine's quite kind of, it's not to say it's bad, it's just more obvious.
Yeah.
So yeah, usually we'll come up with a kind of melody idea, and then yeah, just it's that kind of, it will be that thing of we'll be like, right, everyone play it round and round and round. And it's quite just like, especially Kimberly just sits there with a notepad and I'm like, what are you writing? She's like, it's not ready, I'm not showing you. So then it's, yeah, it just kind of, I guess it's that when you hear the song and what it sounds like, well, what is that triggering in you? Like, what are you thinking of? Are you thinking of like this or that, or what emotions is that bringing up? And then the lyrics kind of come from that, because I know a lot of bands do have that, they kind of pre-write lyrics and then put them in, but I've tried to do that just to kind of mix it up, and I felt like I was really kind of forcing stuff in. I'm like no, because I say, like, mention the notes app, I used to kind of think, oh, that's an amazing lyric, like someone will say something, or you'll see something and go, oh, that's a great phrase, I've got to use that in a song. But then the times I have, it just feels like everything is revolving, like, I've got to get this phrase in because it's amazing, and then you're just like, oh no, it's not working, Tom, give it up. I'm like, all right, okay, I'll move on.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because like when you've got these, there's always the notes app with, I've thought of a really good line, and then they're just bullet points. But the issue is you've got a really good line, and you're like, but it has no context to anything else that this song will have. Like it'll be
No.
really good, but it'll be completely isolated, and then it will just get removed.
Yeah. And you're just like, oh, I had this thing about, being alone on a cliff or something, and you're like, what's that gonna do with the song? You're like, oh, nothing at all, but I'll wedge it in there. And you're just like you say, you're like, it doesn't, I can't really think of anything else to write about that. But yeah, so I'm sure at some point my massive file of notes things will come in handy, but probably not anytime soon.
But I guess it's kind of like burning paper to start like a campfire. It's not gonna really do much, but it's that initial like spark that gets it going.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just getting your brain, like, I find weirdly like the best time I come up with like ideas for songs is like in the shower, because I think your brain goes into like neutral, and you just think, because you can't look at your phone, you can't like do anything else. Well, I suppose you could, but like, well, keep it clean. But like, you just like, and suddenly something, you go, fuck yeah, and then it's that weird, then it is the weird thing where I like kind of run out the shower and try and record whatever's in my head, just
and
to
most
get
of the time it's
down.
gone.
Yeah, because you're like, no, I've got, and I have to like be like, right, keep singing it in your head, don't think of anything else, so I don't lose it. But yeah, and it's, as you say, it's like just sometimes it will just come out of nowhere, and like phones are great for that, because it would be so gutting if you came up with something, you're like, this was amazing, I just thought of it, and then I've just totally lost it like 10 minutes later. It's like, nah, come on.
But shower thoughts are so bizarre.
It is
Like,
weird. I've seen pretty weird shit.
There's got to be an explanation as to why, like, why you happen to have your best ideas like in your 10-minute power shower before work.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think most of mine is like running back arguments in my head that I had like 10 years ago, and I should be like, I should have told him this. And like, yeah, I'm like, why even think about this, dude? Why are you thinking about something that happened? Or even, I love a good overthink. So like something that could never happen. I'm like, well, what if this did happen? What in this scenario? What would you do? Like, it's not helpful. It really isn't helpful. No. But I love it. Love that stuff. It's very relaxing. Or just gets me even more stressed. So yeah, fun times.
I'm trying to find a science behind shower thoughts. The science of shower thoughts teaches us the importance of mind wandering for creativity. That means fuck all. We've just said words.
I mean, I suppose it is that thing, because like I think the hardest is someone just said get in a room and be like, write a song, like write it now. Like there's people who can do that, but that's hard. Like be like, write something really original, something totally different. Whereas like, yeah, I think when you're not purposely thinking of anything. And I think if I went into the shower, so I'm gonna go in the shower and write a song, I just wouldn't. I just think about other nonsense. But I think like it's that time when something will come in your head and you go, yeah, okay, all right, that could work. And half the time it's crap. Like you listen to it back and go, no, that is rubbish. But
Yeah.
I think that's like the thing of like, I don't know. I mean, we always said that with the band as well, is that we try not to have any judgment. Like, because you might do something and go, this could sound like really shit. But like, and it's always like, no, just play it. And then sometimes you're like, yeah, that is quite shit. But you just everyone's like, no, everyone's always like, no, that's cool. And then, but occasionally, because otherwise, like you say, you just end up going, oh, well, we use this chord progression and we use this key and we use this, we'll play it in this blah. And it all sounds the same. So actually, occasionally going, oh, this is a bit weird, but what if I did this? And you're like, oh, yeah, actually, I quite like that. Like, yeah. And I was like, really? And you're like, yeah, I did quite like that. Let's, or you just got to maybe change this bit or whatever. Like, just allows something to get going. So I think otherwise you get in that real like negative space of everyone being, you don't want to bring anything to the table because it'll just get shot down in flames. I mean, like, and we're all very like self-conscious creatives. You're like, everyone hates it. Everyone thinks it's shit secretly. So it's like, yeah, trying to have your little safe space is quite important, I think.
Yeah. This is kind of like a shower thought I actually had myself, weirdly. Literally this morning, because I was listening to some hip hop as I tend to do, and I was thinking, like, at this point, like, this genre's been so prevalent for so long. How are people still coming out with like unique flows on top of these like 160 BPM tracks? It's just how has not everything been said in every way it can be at this point?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think, yeah, because we were seeing, it was Justin Hawkins from The Darkness, and I quite often watch his things on like YouTube or podcasts, and it was, I think that did come up as well. And they're like, but how can like everything, every chord progression, everything is like, it's pretty much been done. Like, not necessarily exactly the same, but it's all going to be like similar. Like, it's so hard to write something truly original without it just being total shit, basically. Just being like, well, that's just noise. Like, and that's not like an old person, it's just noise, but you just think that is just proper shit. So like, and I think it's that whole kind of selling it. That's what he was talking about. He's like, to be really original is really hard. But actually, if you're selling it, being like, no, this is what you want to hear. This is, and like the whole showmanship of it, and being like, no, this is this. I want you to like this. I want you to be into it. And people are like, okay, yeah, all right. And like, yeah, I kind of was like, okay, I see what he's going with that. Like the ability to sell something and be like, yeah, nothing's really original, but being like, no, this is us, and you want to listen to us, and we're fucking awesome. So it's like, yeah, it's that weird like dual ego thing. Of like, we're all a little bit worried as creatives that people won't love us and people won't like our stuff. But you've got to
like, you've got to like really believe yourself to make everyone else believe you. Because if you're releasing a new single and you went, so guys, it's basically Wonderwall, but like, you know, like no one's gonna go, oh, I've got to listen to that.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah,
it's what everyone wants to hear. All the drunken assholes in a pub on a Friday, like. So it's, but yeah, exactly. But you got to get up there, and like no one wants to see a front person like looking at the shoes, just kind of mumbling. You're like, you want to, what is it? Kimmy has a good phrase. She's like, yeah, the audience want to know they're in safe hands. And I was like, okay, yeah, like, so when you come out and you're like, yeah, we're here, we are the band, and we're gonna fucking entertain you.
Yeah,
we're gonna rock, we're gonna be awesome, and you're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna have a great time. People are like, oh, okay, all right, cool. Yeah. Like you seem confident that you can do that, so we will allow you to do that. Which is weird because it's like it's that confidence, and I think there's a lot of, certainly for me, it's that alter ego thing of like the version on stage. It's not me day to day me. It's me thinking I'm a fucking rock star and like being like, yeah, fucking right, let's go. It's all that hyped up and pumped up and stuff, because that's what people want to see. They don't want to see someone just being like, all right, like as you say, like, who's Wonderwall? Like no one wants to hear that. Everyone wants to get excited. They want they want to show, they want to be entertained.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that's what I think it's so integral. Like, I'm quite an avid gig goer. And so I don't get the sets where it's just, this is song for the one. And then right after, it's just, well, this is song. And then there's just 9 songs just in a row. Like, there's no breakup to go, the most generic, are you fucking ready, London? Like, it needs that break of almost humanization to just be like, yeah, we're the band, like we're enjoying this, you should too.
Yeah. Although weirdly, like having spoken to other artists, it's like most bands, or I guess the person who's got the mic, whatever, like most of them, that's the bit they hate. Like they hate the bits between the songs because it's that whole like when you're singing your song, you're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know I can hit the notes, or hopefully you can, and you can smash it. And then it's like, what the fuck am I going to say now? Like that hasn't been said a million times. Like, oh, where's so and so? Like this is our handles online, and it is hard. But like, I think again, we try and like connect with people. I know that sounds quite wanky, but like, if you can see something. Yeah, like I mean, like the last gig we did was the Red Lion in Gravesend, which is an awesome like proper metal venue. Like oh shit, sorry. Like it's a proper like everyone in there is into the music. They're here to hear that genre of music. And there was a guy at the front, Kieran, who was properly into it. So I was like, so I just had like a bit of a chat with him between songs. Like, here we tonight, Kieran. And obviously his sexy goth girlfriend. I was like, yeah, let's all you know, just you kind of make that thing of like trying to involve someone, have a like right, Kieran, I'm relying on you next song. I need you to go fucking mental. And he did, so that was nice. But so like right, everyone be like Kieran. When he goes nuts, everyone copy him. And it's having that bit of connectivity that people are like, oh yeah, it's not just you're not on a track on Spotify.
Yeah, exactly.
You got that human thing, and you always try and like pick people out and like sing or play to them to because then they feel like you are being. It's that one-on-one thing. You can't really ignore that. It's really hard to like to just not be engaged. It's like right, I'm fucking engaging you, and you will listen.
Yeah, but the thing that baffles me most is like because like I said, I'm an avid gig goer and. I'm definitely somewhat of a barrier princess. I always try to be as close as I can. But even when like you see the most kick-ass band on the opener or whatever, and they're putting out all the stops, and everyone's there going, like, what the fuck? Like, why have you paid money for your ticket, like, and your travel to not care about like bands that come on before, like Florence Black or whatever? Like, why are you there just going, well, didn't pay for these? You did.
Yeah.
What you did was pay for these. Like, this is music. Enjoy it. Like,
I know. I always find that, like, especially when you go to gigs, I think when you're paying, like, big money, like, your Muse, like AC/DC, those kind of people, and there's always people there who look like they're having the worst time. Yeah. And you're like, why are you even here? I think I guess it's that whole thing of being like, you want to stick it on your socials, being like, oh yeah, going to the O2 tonight, doing this, doing that. And like, they're not even that into it, which I just totally don't. And again, not everyone's going totally nuts in the mosh pit, but even to be like, you don't even look like you're having any fun at all. Like, exactly. I just find that weird. Like,
and it's crazy.
Like, sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry. It's not even a matter of just those small gigs where, Skull Crusher 44 on Instagram, who's went to see his favorite band with their one single out in a garage, has went, no, I don't like the people on before them. They're not real. But it's like even like places like you said, like the O2, like people are shilling actually hundreds. It happened at Alter Bridge. Like so many people in the pit, like. The main event was on. The main headline. Everyone sitting with their hands in their pockets going, yeah. Why are you here? Like,
was that the one with Hailstorm? Yeah, I was there.
Awesome as well. Yeah.
I was there. In fact, Kimberly and Ollie, our other guitarist, and again, it was such a good gig.
It was. It was brilliant.
I'm a big Alter Bridge fanboy because it's quite sickening though, because I'm like, I don't feel there should be that much talent in a band. Like, he's just like, you can
Miles
all sing, you
Kennedy
can all
is
play. I mean,
nuts.
oh yeah, like his voice is insane.
Ridiculous.
And even the fact that he's like, oh hey Mark, do you want to sing lead on this song? Like you sing lead and I'll do the lead guitar. It's like, oh, why not? Why don't you just play lead guitar? I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, because that's so casual. It's such a casual thing to do.
Yeah, just to be like, actually, I can play lead guitar just as good as probably one of the best like alt rock metal guitarists in the world, and I make it look pretty simple. I'm like, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Although weirdly, like we were talking afterwards, and we are like, who do you think was better out of Hailstorm and Alter Bridge? And it got quite heated actually, because well, because I mean, I love the technicality of Alter Bridge, but I thought actually in terms of a show, Hailstorm are really good. Like I just, I love Lizzie Hale and her energy.
I was going to bring this up. You were talking about like really like the showmanship and everything. The drummer.
Yeah,
if you want to talk about showmanship with his massive fucking drumsticks.
Yeah, with the big sticks. He's like got the big sticks and like so good. And yeah, as you say, it's just that kind of. I mean, again, a lot of drummers like, oh, it's just pissing about. But I'm like, but that's the thing. He's putting on a show, and I'm like, I'm not that guy who's going to sit and watch drum solos. But I was like, actually, it was very entertaining. I was like, yeah it was very good. Yeah, and you just feel like it was just awesome seeing bands like that who are so good at what they do and their craft, and not just the technical, because you can be that geek and be like, oh look, he's doing this, and you're like, the guitar geeks are freaking out, but like it's the whole way they just bring everyone with them, and you're like, yeah, this is epic, this is properly epic.
And it's rare.
That was a really good gig.
It's rare you get 3 bands who are all so good on one night. Because like I mean you were talking who are the best. Rogue Shout, I just love Mammoth. They're so good.
Really? Yeah. That's controversial. Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they overshadowed like Alter Bridge or anything, but they held their own. Like it's not the first time I've seen them. I've seen them a few times. I saw them with Motley Crue as well, I think.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, they're so good, and I don't understand how they're not massive yet. I think they're an album or 2 away. But
yeah, I think he's always gonna have that thing, because it's like, well, you're only here because you're dad, and he's kind of embraced that, because you're like, well, you change your name, you wouldn't use that, like, or you wouldn't use that as your stage name, and I get it, because it is that kind of thing of like, well, why wouldn't you use that? Like, if you are that, if that's who your dad is, you're kind of going to be like, well, okay, if it means I can be a rock star, well, sweet. I'm going to lean into that. I'm not going to just be like, no, I'll start from scratch.
Yeah, like, no. But like I said, how that matter of I don't see how they're like massive yet, I think is a testament to the fact he's not just leeching off his dad.
Yeah.
Because if he really wanted to, he's like, no, my dad, Van Halen, the jump guy, that's me. So like, but he's not done that. Like, and their music is so good. I am a very avid, and this is Rogue, because I love Alter Bridge, but in 2024 so far, I've bumped more Mammoth.
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah, because weirdly as well, when you say about being massive, there was an interview, I think, in Metal Hammer with Mark Tremonti, and he was saying he said actually Alter Bridge aren't that big in the States. He's like, the UK is their biggest, like, so he's like, basically all his house is paid for by the Creed stuff, and he's like, and everyone hates Creed. Like, is that like, it's cool to hate Creed? But he's like, yes, and everyone loves Alter Bridge. Everyone's like, oh, Alter Bridge is so cool. So he's like, he's lucky that he's obviously he's like, it's sweet because he goes, I'm still really proud of the stuff I've done with Creed. You like, look how much they sold. Like, you can't argue with those stats. But they're not obviously like, in my view, I'm a big Alter Bridge fan. I wouldn't be that fussed. I wouldn't rush to go. I'd like to go and see Creed just to see him, but I wouldn't be like, I have to go. But he's like, yeah, I don't care, because it's like, I'm still making music. Because he's even doing some like Frank Sinatra stuff. He did like a Frank Sinatra album, which I love it. He's just like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do a Frank Sinatra album. You're like, all right, mate. Yeah, so it's like, but as you say, he's like, no, like Alter Bridge are not big in the States. He's like, Europe and especially the UK were big. And I was like, I just assumed they were massive in the States as well.
I assumed they were massive like everywhere. Like,
But he was like, no, he's like, we don't really get much compared to like the Creed stuff. He's like, no, it's like way, way, way down.
yeah.
Which I'm like, well, okay, fair enough, fair enough.
Like, yeah, I mean, Alter Bridge is one that the thing is, even if they're like them as a band, everyone knows Metalingus. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
and that also surprising because wrestling as a whole, I feel like is a lot bigger in the US. And that
yeah,
is like
yeah,
Metalingus being one of the most iconic themes, and then Alter Bridge having the Judgment Days theme as well at the moment. Like they've
yeah.
got that, like they are there. I just guess no one, like not everyone knows where the themes come from.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, people are going to hear stuff and be like, "Oh yeah, I've heard that before." Like, because I was trying to like, I always try and sell them to people because I'm like trying to describe them like it's like a slightly heavier version of the Foo Fighters, and they're like, "Oh okay," and then you'll play it and they'll be like, "This is amazing! Like, who are these people?" And I'm like, "How do you not know?" Like, it's
Yeah,
just weird. I think outside like rock and metal kind of groups, they're just not that well known. They're not like a household name in the way that like the Foo Fighters or Muse are or whatever. Which again, I find that really surprising because I'm just like they should be bigger than they are, but like, I mean
yeah,
they're
for
still
sure.
pretty big, still playing the O2. It's not rubbish, but they're not this like massive international thing. I don't think, which is
Yeah.
odd. I find it odd.
Yeah, but I do think that goes for a lot of bands at the moment. Like, I guess there's such a high ceiling of people like Oasis and like Slipknot, but there's bands that I'd consider massive that like aren't selling out what you like. Bring Me the Horizon. Don't get me wrong, they're huge, but they're not as big as I thought they were. Like,
Yeah,
there's still a
yeah,
lot of people, especially when the Brit Awards were the other week, and when they won, there were so many comments like, "Who the fuck is this?" Like, how? They're actually like one of the biggest new metal bands around at the moment,
yeah.
and just you've not heard of them. It might be a states thing again, but
I think it's yeah. Again, it's that thing of like if you listen to like standard like commercial radio or whatever, like you just won't hear that kind of stuff. Like you just
yeah,
it will never get played. Like you've got to listen to your Planet Rocks or Kerrang or Radio X, whatever. You've got to have that like specific genre on your radio. Like you're not going to hear it on Heart or whatever,
yeah,
or even
definitely.
Radio One. Like it will be at like 2 a.m. or something. Like it's kind of creeping in a little bit, but I think it's still I still find that whole thing is odd. Like, when I sell people, oh, we're like alternative metal, they just think they're literally like, well, so you're Slipknot. I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, and then
Yeah,
I was like, I'm not going to bore you with the subgenres of metal because that's,
yeah,
you can watch people glaze over. They're just like, argh. But I was like, I think it's that thing of like, if you describe it in the biggest, oh, it's this, it's like, but actually there's so much difference within that.
yeah. Because a lot of
Um,
people they just hear metal and go, so they're like Slipknot then. Well, and
yeah,
nothing against Slipknot. I'm in the pit. I'm in the
yeah,
pit for
yeah. I like
Slipknot.
Slipknot. I do.
In December, but like, there's a lot more to metal.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, because I said you can't get like okay, like death metal or doom metal or black metal, but then you've got like power metal, which is like super cheesy, like proper 80s tastic, like love it, it's great. But
Yeah,
it's not people would be like, well, this doesn't sound like metal. I was like, well, it is, it's all about the speed at which the drums are being played, to be honest.
yeah,
Like it's not
exactly.
actually about the shouting and screaming and stuff, all the, and I think it's trying to educate people
I think the
to be
easiest
like,
way to break metal into subgenres, because I've got a friend who's really into metal as well, but we're very different ends of the metal spectrum. And how we managed to define it is he's an metal, and I'm a yeah kind of metal. Um, and I think that's really the key part
yeah, I like
of
that.
how
I
to
like that.
break them into two parts there. Um,
Yeah, it is that thing of like it can be like we're obviously in the kind of more melodic side of it because we're like, well, that sounds really cool if you get like really chuggy, heavy guitars, and then you've got like this beautiful female like pitch voice over the top, quite operatic, and like kind of gives you a bit of like it just is that kind of contrast, which we love that sound. That's kind of what we're going for, but it's very different to, as you say, other elements on that like massive scale. But yeah, it's cool. Like, I think it's always quite nice when you like talk to people and but oh yeah, I'm in a band. You got to bore everyone about being in the band. That's like a rule. And I'm like, go and listen to my stuff. And they're like, oh, I quite liked it. I wasn't really expecting to. And I was like, all right, it's like that, is it? And they're like, no, I just thought it'd be like shouting and screaming and all this. And I was like, no. It's like, I think people just simplify it down, like you say, and be like, oh, it's just this. And you're like, well, no, it's not. It can be lots of different things. But yeah, it's all good. I like it. I like trying to, get people into it and be like, yeah, getting your entry level bands to be like, that'll get you into it, and then you'll go heavy.
Yeah, exactly.
Go into the dark places.
I think what doesn't help is the people who don't listen to metal are so quick to go, oh, so metal's just this. I think the biggest issue, people who do listen to metal are going, that's not metal. No, that's like there is a very set group. Like, because I'm seeing Slipknot in December. A month earlier, I'm seeing Sleep Token. Now, live as a Sleep Token fan, it's rough. It's like the Nickelback. It's just like, no, that's not real metal. And no, but it is. It's just different type of metal, and they're not like death metal, but there's definitely metal elements like in it.
Yeah, exactly. No, like, I mean, yeah, I really like. I mean, all of us actually really like Sleep Token, because it's something. It's not super, but it's just different. Like, as you say, like, and actually, it's so nice when you see something, and again, it's the theatricality of it, and
I love the theatrics.
Because it's great. Like, and you go somewhere and you're like, well, what the fuck's happening now? Like, I remember seeing, oh god, my brain's not working. September Morning, and like they were really good. Am I thinking that right? I doesn't matter. But yeah, it's that whole like, you go on and it's like a graveyard, and it's kind of it's quite cheese, but it's awesome. I'm like, okay, so what the fuck's happening here? And it's like it's all acted out, and you kind of, and then the music starts, and you're like, okay, cool. Like when you see bands that are really like, we're going to lean heavily into this. I mean, I always want to know how they get started, like how like Slipknot are like, right, so how many guys you got in the lineup? Be like, well, I got like 10. You're like, 10? Oh, okay. I mean, how many mics do you need? Oh, just one. Be like, what are the rest of the guys doing? It's like, well, this guy
this guy hits a bin. It's a thing.
Yeah, he hits the bin. He just dresses up as a clown, just generally fucks around. Like, don't worry about him. Like, but it is that, like, I'd love to know that transition, because like we're kind of like beginning to get into that of like creating more theatricality and working on our like stage wear, because you kind of start off and you're just like, band t-shirt, done, let's go. So now it's like a bit more, put on a bit of war paint.
And welcome back to part 2. I forgot to look at the time. So theatrics and music, as we were talking about, another band I'd like to bring up, as much as they're not really a band that I listen to or overly like, Ghosts have got that. Like, they've got that. I do fuck with it, even if I don't particularly love their music.
It's one of these funny things, because you see him and you think, my god, these guys are gonna like, you're gonna die in that pit, and then it's like dad rock, it's like Bon Jovi, and you're like, oh, that wasn't what I was expecting. But I mean, like our drummer Carl is quite a Ghost fan. I like you. I'm kind of like, I don't hate them, and I like what they do in terms of like, I've seen some of their clips of their live shows, and like, they do stuff with like the two guitarists just like pissing about and stuff. But like, because obviously they got like the full masks on, so they can't be like. But I said, so actually, it takes quite a lot of acting skill to put on, like, without talking and without any facial expressions, to like tell a story of like pissing about, basically. Which I like. I like that, and it's cool. And I think as always in that thing with music, there's that kind of hand in hand of, you want to go and see a show, you want to see people, because it's like my pet hate. Red Hot Chili Peppers do it a lot. They just don't talk at all. It's literally like, you get your hits, thanks very much, straight on to the next song. And I'm like, I don't need you to preach at me for ages, but at the same time, you feel like, I mean, Dave Grohl's like the master of it. Kind of, you feel like I'm just here with my friend Dave, and I'm just having a great time. Which is really hard to do. It's really hard to do.
Weirdly, you wouldn't expect it at all from like the Chili Peppers. Like you'd expect them to really drone on.
Yeah. It's just weird. Like, some bands just don't. They're literally just like, no chat. We just play. You're not here to hear us talk. Which I think there's a balance. Like, you don't want to have like someone preaching at you for ages about stuff you don't care about. But again, when you can have those moments, if something happens in the crowd and you can react to it, like that's really cool. Like people's ability to do that is cool.
Yeah, and like we mentioned all the like the cliche phrases, but that's all you need sometimes. Sometimes
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
how you fucking doing, London?
yeah,
Ah. And then we are insert name. Are you fucking ready? And everyone goes,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And you go, oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And you go, hooray!
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that.
And it
That
is, it's
just
like if you
ramps
can
it
get,
up.
yeah, if you can get people, like, as you say, it's like the same old shit, but like it does work. Like there's a reason why it works. And it's like, yeah, if you can get people like G'd up, and it's hard because like we've had some gigs where you think, fucking hell, this is hard work. Like
Yeah.
you kind of win people over, hopefully. You can just tell they're like, this isn't what we thought. Like for whatever reason, like either we've been booked for like something that's probably not. And these days it's better because we can kind of be a bit pickier
Yeah.
about when was when you're starting out, you're just like, I just want to play gigs. You just want to play gigs, and it's good because it's like playing weird gigs is kind of it's one of those like rites of passage as a band where you think, what the fuck are we doing here? Like this
Yeah.
is just totally bizarre. And like but you got to kind of do it, and then it's quite fun. It's like if you can eke out a bit of a reaction and people going, actually I wasn't expecting to like you guys and I thought you were all right, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'll take that as a win, I'll take it. So I think yeah, it's that real thing of like once you've done those gigs, like you can then afford to be like, actually, we want to be playing venues where people want to hear our music. Like, that's what we want to do. Rather than the people who are not us, like the kind of kebab and calculator on a Friday night, and they're like, play Bon Jovi, play Wonderwall. And you're just like, yeah, we don't do covers. They're like, play covers, and you're just like, yes. Then you're just like, what are we doing? I
It's
don't
a
want to be
losing
doing
battle at
that.
that point.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think we need to put 80s glam rock back center stage. Like people with the aura of like Motley Crue, Kiss, as much as I don't like Kiss. Um, like that was cool. And
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, some bands I've interviewed like quite a lot lately that really have that theatrical aspect. But for a lot, it's like I've mentioned this before, like probably about a year ago now. Bring back unbelievably mental stage designs.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Like,
cool. Like, I mean, it is like I suppose I was sing about it the other day, and it was like the whole like Sunset Strip era of like, as you say, like Motley
yeah,
Crue and Guns N' Roses and Poison and all that kind of. It's so over the top, and then it was obviously grunge came along because it was like the antithesis, the total opposite, like dressed down, like look, there's no like massive hair or anything like
yeah,
ridiculous like, three neck guitars or whatever. Um, and yeah, and well, there's another thing saying that actually a lot of the way it got replaced by hip hop in terms of that's where the showiness went. Like, you have your bling video, like that's the hip hop video, like the early 90s hip hop videos are like super showy. I mean, all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
But yeah, I think people do then there's that full circle. It's like Limp Bizkit, was massive, like 90s, early noughties, then became really uncool. And now they're kind of cool again because everyone's
yeah,
like, yeah, I love a bit of Limp Bizkit. It's like it kind of takes that time before like to pass that people go, actually, yeah, I would quite like to go and see Limp Bizkit. That would be a lot of fun. And the whole
yeah.
thing with Fred Durst doing that whole gig, that whole set as like a cowboy, which I'm like, is this even real? And it's like, yeah, it's real. It's like I was like, this is amazing. But like I was like, what is going on? But I was like, love it. And like, yeah, so I think yeah, I could do a bit of glam rock, get some my sequins on, yeah, get some makeup. I love it. Love that stuff.
That's another thing that I mean, don't get me wrong, it's got a lot more normalized nowadays than it was in the 80s. But just like people dressed so out there. And I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it's still a thing now, but like I loved it. And I'd dress like that. It's like everywhere was Camden.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Yeah, and it is. We were talking about this about like our kind of stage wear and stuff, and we're kind of settling into where we want to be. But we were saying like you've got to have that point where you come in to the wherever you're doing the gig, the venue, and people have to know you're the band. Like there can't be any like, oh well, they could be, they might be. It's like no, they got to know that you're going to go up and perform.
hmm,
Like it's like there should be no question about that. And I was like, yeah, that's a fair point. Actually, I hadn't thought of that. Like there should be because it's easier, especially in like the kind of genre we work in, like our little niche. It's like, you know, you can just have band t-shirt, and I'm very anti because I haven't got a beard, haven't got long hair. I've got some tattoos, but I'm like, I'm not the traditional metalhead. Everyone else in the band is. So everyone else in the band's got like beards and like long hair, tattoos. I mean, Kimberly doesn't have a beard, but she's working on it. But like, yeah, and I always think like, because people kind of said, oh, you know what, well, you know, do you not want to do that? Do you not want to be part of the scene? And I was like, I don't know. I think like music, it's really easy to smell a bullshitter, if you know what I mean. If you're like, this is me, man, and I'm the most metal out there, you know, I've got this battle jacket and I'm blah. And I'm like, I'm not going to try and pretend. Like, I love the music, I love the genre. But I want to be honest. I want to be like a hyped up version of myself on stage. But I think people see that and people like that. If you're being like real with them, they're like, okay, cool, yeah, like that works. Like, but yeah, I love the whole kind of scene and stuff. It's awesome, and they're always like the nicest people because like everyone says, you kind of see them and you think, God, they look totally nuts. But like, because I remember like there was a story of Corey Taylor, and it might have been Reading or something, and when Daphne and Celeste went out and they got like bottled by the crowd, like little teeny boppers. And it was actually really hard looking back, like these two, and they were like 17 or something, getting like bottles of piss thrown at them.
Yeah, that was
like
rough.
It was savage, like it's absolutely savage. And actually, like, I love that Corey Taylor went to him afterwards, and he's like, I didn't really know who they were, but like, and he's like, dude, he said, that's like fucking hardcore, man. Like, no one else has fucking had that. Like, you can't, like, and he's like, you know, that like this proper metal at the time, one of the probably the biggest metal band in the world, playing like fair play. You went out there and you got through the set, which I really like because there's that like, you know, everyone's out to like support and look after each other. Because it's really weird when you first start. I haven't done like much stuff with like bands before, and you kind of, and I think especially when you've got a woman in your band, there's this kind of weird thing where people try and play you off against other bands with women in. Like a few years ago, because she used to gig, she was in a band called Damn Dirty Humans before, so that they were quite successful. And she's like, back then the whole industry was like, nah, they've got a woman as well, so fuck those guys. Like, whereas now, like, it's really supportive. Like, I think because everyone realizes that it's so tough, like trying to get anywhere. Like, if you're that douchebag band that, you know, doesn't hang around to watch other people's sets, that, you know, you're trying to like stitch people up, like no one's going to tolerate it. Like, people just won't help you out. Whereas if you're kind of actively trying to be supportive, like being like, yeah, come and play our gig, we'll come and play yours, we'll try and go and see as many of your shows as we can, and like, or like if you can't do a show, be like, we can't, but have you tried these guys, they're really good. And like everyone helps each other out, and it's so much nicer because then it's that, you know, it's not the X factor. There isn't like one record contract. It's like, you know, if we can all get a bit of success, like you take other people with you. So like it's definitely pays off, and it's a much nicer place to work in when it's like that, because like I said, it's just like zero money in it. So it's not like one person's gonna get this big some lump of cash from like a big record company. It's like it just doesn't work like that. So yeah, it's definitely a better way to do it, I think.
And like, I mean, don't get me wrong, you've probably got a lot more experience in the field of like bands and that than I do. But I mean, as I said, I've interviewed probably upwards of 50 bands now. Definitely upwards of 50. And like, that is something that I've always said. I mean, I don't expect everyone to just be wankers, but everyone is so like nice. Like there's always that feeling, and it feels like people make the effort to remember you too. Like if I run into someone at a festival, like, I remember you guys. And I'm like that is sick. Everyone's just nice. Like,
yeah, I think, you know, it does. It's like rule number one in life: don't be a dick. Like, and it's amazing how many people don't know that rule. You're just like, like, I feel like if you can, like you say, it's trying to be, as you say, a nice person, get on with people, help people out. Because it's life's too short to just be like this kind of drama, you know, like drama queen type thing, being like, nah, I'm not gonna do this, I'm only gonna headline, I'm only gonna like do that. And you just think, Nah, nah, you do bump into people you think, didn't really like them. Not too fair, as you say, the majority of people are awesome, like really nice.
Yeah.
And you meet some really cool people, like really unusual, different, interesting people, which I love. I love meeting people that you think there's no way I would have met them outside
Yeah.
gigging and everything else, because they're just like totally like, you're like, fuck, they're awesome, like, really talented, really nice. And yeah, occasionally you'll meet people that you think they're
Mm.
kind of, but then everyone thinks that about them, you know what I mean? And again, I'm not going to sit here and name, but it's very few, to be fair. It's
Yeah.
very few. um and yeah, and I love that whole collaborative thing, like where you feel like you can work together to make something better. Like when we've started trying to like put on our own shows, and we put one on back in January. So we called, like, the night was called like Dark Goddess. So it was all bands with either all females or like had some females in. And it was all like, kind of female empowerment stuff. And it was just such a good night, because we were like, look, we're putting this on, so please try and push it, try and
Yeah.
get people there, because we're going to be like out of pocket. And it was a really good night, really awesome atmosphere. Like all the bands were amazing. And I'm not saying that like just because we put it on, because I was like, a couple of the bands I'd kind of seen a little bit, and I was like, oh, it's a bit of a punt. But they were awesome. They were so good. And you're just like, this is amazing. It's such a good feeling when you think, yeah, we all, like, everyone involved, like, pitched in and helped and everything. And it was cool. It was really good. It's a really great night.
It's so much just brilliant talent on the like underground like rock and metal scene, and that's something that I would have never really known to the extent I do if it wasn't for the fact that I did this. And like everyone knows everyone. Like there's so
Yeah,
many times
yeah.
I'll be speaking to a band and I'll like bring someone up. I know them because in 2014 we were in a Tesco together and we were both on the radio. And I'm like, wow, wow, what a
Yeah, yeah.
strange obscure link that you somehow have to this band. But it's crazy. Like I touched on earlier how many interviews I've done at this point. And it really hit how crazy it is when I've been looking at festival lineups lately, and some of them it'll be like 30, 40, 50% of the people on there at some point in time have sat down on a Zoom call for an hour with this guy. Like
Yeah, yeah. It's cool.
that common thread. And it's just like, how have I even got to a point where I can say I have interviewed the majority of the people on this poster? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
No,
just,
it's awesome. It's
yeah.
awesome.
And that's another thing of like, people are so nice. Like, so many bands, I think, but why do you give a fuck? Like, not being funny, not to put myself down or anything, but like, it just feels so surreal that people take the time out to like give us a crack. And I like to think we don't disappoint.
No,
So
it's good. I think, and that's what it's all about, is like it's all about building relationships and different collaborations. Like we had a few with like the merch we just started putting out. Like one of them, Wilder Cult, who were like t-shirt manufacturers, and I just kind of was like, I like their stuff, and just messaged them on like social media saying, hey, I really like your stuff. Like, would you be interested in working with us, putting together like a t-shirt or something? And he was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, and his top guy Ben, and he was like, yeah, yeah, what? And then so we ended up coming up with this design. I was like, mate, that is like perfect. This is like you've got the whole vibe. And we ended up turning it into these like big posters that we use on stage now. And he came to the gig and was like, he's like, can I get a free ticket? I was like, you can if you run the merch stand. He's like, yeah, okay, I'll run the merch. I was like, it's your merch. You made the merch, so it's in your interest. But like, yeah, just that kind of thing of being able to have like people that you think, we just make these connections, and it helps them, it helps us, and it's like, yeah, that's how it all works, really. I think, and it feels good doing it, that you can enjoy like tonight having like a chat and stuff and talking nonsense, putting the world to rights, and it's good. It's like it's great stuff. I love it. I love what you're doing.
yeah, it's just such an awesome scene. Like it really is great. Let's recenter a bit back on your band career. Do you have any major gigs coming up?
Yeah, so we've got we were supposed to be doing one on the 18th of May, but we realised it was at the same date as a Great Escape in Brighton. So we're like, we don't really want to go up against that. So we're trying to like reschedule doing a different area, and then we've got a gig in I think the 10th of June in Andover, which is like a charity gig, which should be with Terrapin and Call of Sirens, which should be really good actually. So it's like basically raising money for like or donations for like food bank in Andover, which would be really good. And then after that, we've got our first big festival, which is Gilfest, which is on 29th of June. So we're on the Saturday, which we're super excited about. That's like a really like big step for us, getting onto like a proper big festival. So yeah, we're buzzing. Like, I mean, we're on quite early, but I'm like, hey, it's all good. I'm taking it. So like, yeah, we're properly buzzing about that. It's going to be really good. So we're kind of, because actually Kimberly at the moment, we would be doing more gigs, but she's had an operation, so she's in recovery at the moment. She's all good. She's recovering well, but like, so we've had to give her a bit of time to get back to full health. And then we've got like a couple of new songs that we've been bubbling up, so it's all building up to like the kind of Gilfest that we want to do like a proper kick-ass set and be like, I've got a couple of new songs, bit of dramatics going in there, like you say, like some smoke machines, some lights we've got set up. Like, it's gonna be good. We're excited.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. So everyone, make sure you write those dates down. And with I'm going to assume there's about 20 minutes left, so I'm going to fire the 2 questions that I kind of have to ask, because we kind of made it most of our branding. So I've got a nice little detective hat, hat here, because this is the time where we really have to get down to business. Jesus, when I started doing this, you could see my eyes.
It's a strong fringe action. I'm loving it.
I mean, eventually, I want it to just be long hair, but I've kind of got to get past the point where it's just a long fringe. I've spent a few years wondering what the fuck am I going to do with it. I just knew I wanted to grow it out, and now I think I'm just going to go full theatre kid with it.
Yeah, you got to do it, man. You got to do it. I've never had the confidence. I'm like, well, I kind of hope I look like Aragorn, but I don't know if I would. I think I would just, I think I would. I've always got to that like point and then chickened out. So like, yeah, it's bad. But do it, man. Live that dream. Be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I not a buzz cut at all. Not a good look for me. Just don't have the head shape. Don't have the hairline. So it's rough, and I don't like the like generic. I just don't like feeling it on the back of my head, especially. I don't like that fresh cut feeling. So I just started growing it, and my hair's curly. So the only issue is anything past like now just kind of continues to curl up rather than like straightens out. So
it keeps coming up, right? Hang it,
yeah. Right now we're just growing until I have an idea of what to do.
That's good.
I'm just gonna keep growing it because I want it to be long for Slipknot. That's kind of the goal.
Yeah, that's what you want, man. That's what you want.
Yeah, but in the time we've spent here, we've had a very pleasant chat. However, we have to take a sharp 90 turn into a real, a sucker punch of a conversation.
Go on,
so we've got to start talking the serious stuff now, unfortunately, which I know is hard, but sometimes we just got to get it done. So really, all I have to ask you is, what is the best sandwich?
Ooh, best sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty sick. See, I was thinking weirdly. I was thinking about this the other day. Am I overthinking stuff? Because it does like it's like a big thing. Because I travel a lot with my work, and you go to the States a lot, and you can get some like proper serious sandwiches there. And like we had one the day, and it was like a breakfast bagel, but it had pretty much an entire cooked breakfast in a bagel, which was savage. It was amazing. It was like 2,000 calories in one hit, but I was like, that's too much for me. That is too much. So personally, I like you know, like proper like white, thick white bread, like the crusty, proper crusty bread with cream cheese and corned beef. And that's it. That's it.
That sounds so unbelievably good. I might make one right after this.
Yeah. But you gotta have loads of cream cheese and a lot big. I know everyone's like, why do you eat corned beef? It's like corned beef is
Because
amazing.
it's lovely.
Properly
It's
100%.
brilliant.
It's good.
I don't think
Like,
I've got any corned beef though.
I mean, just get down Tesco's. That's what you want. But you want that proper thick bread, you know, with like the dusty flour on it. Like that's what you want.
I
That's
usually make beautiful grilled cheeses out of that.
Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Like proper heart clogging stuff. Yeah, I like that. But like, yeah, if you get like the sausages like cut in half with the grilled cheese on and loads of ketchup, like yeah, that's pretty good.
If I have no corned beef,
sandwich, it's like an open sandwich. But
yeah, if I have no corned beef, which I believe is the case, I'll just have some ham with some Philadelphia, which I mean, it works because I quite fancy a sandwich actually.
Yeah, you need that. Now I want a sandwich too. Now I'm hungry.
Well, it's because sandwiches are up there in some of the best overall foods. Jacket potatoes above, though.
Yeah. I do that. Well, the thing is, it's one of those things that you shouldn't be able to do it badly, but I've been to places and you've had really disappointing ones when you just like, how have you messed that up? Like, it's literally like the easiest thing to do. And they still like, you just think, nah, that wasn't amazing. That wasn't what I wanted.
I'm dying for a jacket potato, but I just don't have the time. I've got places to be. I've got theatre trip tomorrow.
Oh man, busy lad, busy guy.
I know. I'm a true drama kid.
But, love it.
We'll make it onto our final question, and then
go on then. Hit me.
Might as well just keep going until time runs out. But I'm going to ask you to make. I'm going to ask you to make a band. Now, there are a few rules that I'll go through now. You can have as many or as few people in this band as you'd like, as long as you have the core fundamentals of a singer, a bassist, a guitarist, and a drummer. You can be in the band, but you don't have to be. You can have anyone on any instrument, but they will not magically learn to play this instrument. And anyone you pick can be dead or alive. They will be alive when they perform, unless you specifically request them not to be.
Ooh, that's a good question. That is a good question. So many options. Well, you got to start off with the front person, I guess. So for me, it's always going to come down to Freddie Mercury's got to be up there. Like,
absolutely,
he's just epic. Like epic voice, epic showman. Like, yeah, I think he's got to be up there. I mean, Kate Bush as well. I do love a bit of Kate Bush. Like, I think because he's come very back on trend again now.
Yeah,
and it's Stevie Nicks as well. I do love a female front woman. I'm quite a fan, but I don't know. I think I'd struggle to replace Freddie. You got to have Freddie up there. I think he would be pretty epic. He's just one of these people that I think if I could sing like anyone, again, like most people, you'd be like, yeah, he's just completely timeless, just epic. And to have that and just have all that drama he's bringing on stage, I just love it. Absolutely love it. Well, as I said, I am an Alter Bridge fanboy, so I'd have to have Tremonti, I think.
Oh, that's a good pick.
On guitar, and also he can sing as well, so he can do your backing vocals.
That's
sorted.
True.
Like, I'm a big fan of just being like, yeah, just stick him on there. And I just love what he can do, and yeah, he's just epic. He's just such an epic guitarist, and he's not like super showy, which I kind of like. You know, it's like you're obviously selling it. Like, look how hard this solo is. He's just like, I'm just doing it, and it's epically hard. I'm gonna just do it. I'm like, I quite like that. Oh yeah, I don't know, bassist. It's like, do you go for your kind of steady Eddie? Then part of me, you know, I'm not a huge Chili Peppers fan, but I do kind of like Flea. I like that manic energy. I mean, the guy just, you know, doing a gig butt naked. I'm like, I've got a lot of time for that. Just being like, because it's like one of those positions that traditionally they're like the sensible, like the bassist is going to hold it together and not go mental. So I quite like the idea of having you know, you've got Tremonti, I imagine, is quite sensible.
Yeah.
So I think having Flea and Mercury together in a band, that would be quite. I'm quite excited about the weirdness of how that would unfurl and how Freddie Mercury would react to his nakedness. I was like, yeah, there's all kinds of good interactions going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, drummer. I don't know actually, because I like. See, now I'm going into overthinking now because I'm like, what do I want there? Like, I mean, see, I do love Roger Taylor again, but that's the Queen. You can't have two members of Queen. That's too obvious. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember what his name is. Lizzie Hale's little brother, drummer from Hailstorm, whose
Yeah.
first name I've forgotten. But I mean, again, it's that showmanship, and it's going to annoy me now because I can't think what his name is. But
specifically with the massive drumsticks.
Specifically, we're only playing the whole set with a massive drumstick, which I do love. That I just love the manicness of it, and again, he's an awesome drummer. I mean, at that level, everyone is, but he is particularly epic. Yeah, that would, or Dave Grohl as well. You can't beat a bit of Dave Grohl in your band. Like that would be, yeah. Because I'd be like, no, you can't sing, Dave. You just got to do the drumming. Like that's not for you. Like you've got enough talent in that band already. So I think, I'm gonna stick with the Hailstorm guy. Whose name I've forgotten, which is bad. But something Hale. But like, yeah, I think, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that lineup.
Well, just like that, that brings us to the end of, well, I guess I can't say the set of questions. I only asked up two. But that brings us to the end of this episode. So I know we already spoke about it earlier, but now this is your time. If there's any questions you have for me, or if there is anything you'd like to promote and plug, now's your chance.
No, thank you so much for having. Well, it should have been more of the band, but sadly just got me. So sorry to disappoint. But no, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's an awesome podcast, and it's so cool when you see all the other bands that you've been on there. I'm like, oh, these are like proper bands. it's really cool. So like, keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome, and yeah, I think. Anyone who's listening, go and check us out, Rogue Awakening, on all your good streaming platforms, YouTube, yada yada yada, all that stuff. And again, if you want us to come and play where you live, message us. We'll message you back. Like we're always up for going to like new places, playing new places. And yeah, we're always up for a chat. Like anything you want to talk about, I'm quite happy to talk nonsense with random people on the internet, which I should probably not do. It's probably not safe. But yeah, no, thanks so much for having us on. It's been really cool. I've hopefully haven't talked too much nonsense.
I've loved it.
But I feel like that's right. This is a safe place to talk nonsense. It's my go-to, just like talking shit and going off on random tangents.
That's what we pride ourselves on.
But no, it's been awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. So some words from me just quickly. Obviously, we're actually really behind schedule for uploads at the moment. We've been having some editing issues. So God knows when this comes out. For reference, it's the 26th of March as of recording. So God knows when we'll actually see this. I might just upload this out of order because this doesn't need much editing and we just need something out. But assuming this is out, hopefully within some time, a few episodes in the future will be the debut of a brand new host, since obviously Tom is no longer hosting with us. He's someone that I trust very dearly with this position, someone I believe will bring a lot to the podcast. He's got a lot of great ideas, and he's also just a funny prick. So stay tuned for that. There'll be some updates and probably a cheeky little video to accommodate it. But other than that, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for coming. I've had a great time. Please follow both the podcast and Rogue Awakening on Instagram and YouTube and all that. Make sure you stream the music. Make sure you go to the festivals and other events. Make sure you buy your tickets to Uncensored Fest. Link below, hopefully. It's still a few months away, but you're going to want to make sure you get your ticket because, please. And I believe that's all. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.